The balance on my screen said 0.0. I refreshed it. Once, twice, 3 times, still 0. My hands didn't shake. Not yet. Because my brain was still trying to catch up, still trying to find a logical explanation. Something that made sense. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe the app was down. Maybe? No. I opened the transaction history, and that's when I saw it. Multiple withdrawals. Large ones. Dates I recognized. Amounts I definitely didn't approve. And every single one of them had the same location. Home. My chest tightened, not from confusion, from realization. Because there was only one explanation. They took it. I stared at the screen for a long time. Because this wasn't just money. This was my tuition, my next semester, my way forward, my future. And the deadline? Today. I didn't think. I called. My mom picked up on the third ring. Hey, sweetheart, my money is gone. Silence. Just for a second, but it was enough. Oh, she said. Just that. Oh. Like I had reminded her about something small, something forgettable. What do you mean, oh? I asked. Well, she hesitated, then said it. Casually. We used it. Used it. I blinked. You used my college fund? It wasn't just yours, she said quickly. It was for the family. For the family. That phrase again. The one that always meant the same thing. Not really mine. What did you use it for? I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, for your sister's wedding. Everything went quiet. Not outside. Inside me. Because something in my chest just stopped. You're joking, I said. I'm not, she replied. Calm, steady. Like this was a normal conversation. That was my tuition, I said. We'll figure something out, she answered. Figure something out. The 3 most useless words in the world. My deadline is today. It's just 1 semester, she said. There it was, that line. The same one she had used my entire life. It's not a big deal, not a big deal. I let out a slow breath. Because something inside me was changing, not breaking, shifting. You spent my future, I said quietly. No, she replied immediately. We invested in your sister's future. That hurt more than anything else. Because it wasn't just about money anymore. It was about value. Who mattered and who didn't. I'll call you later, she said. And then she hung up. Just like that, like the conversation was over, like the decision was final. I stared at my phone, and for the first time, I didn't feel shocked. I felt clarity. Because this wasn't sudden. This wasn't unexpected. This was just the first time it had gone this far. The first time, they had taken something I couldn't replace. But the signs? They were always there. I just didn't want to see them. Growing up, there were always 2 versions of everything. Mine and hers. My sister, Emily. She was the younger one, the favorite. Not officially, they would never say it out loud, but you didn't need them to. You could see it, in the little things, the everyday things. She got new clothes, I got still good ones. She got praise for trying, I got silence for succeeding. She failed a test. It's okay, you'll do better next time. I got straight A's. That's expected. Nothing special, nothing worth celebrating. And for a long time, I told myself it didn't matter. Because I was strong, that's what they always said. You're independent. You don't need help. You'll figure it out. At the time, it sounded like a compliment. Now, I understood what it really meant. You're on your own. When I got into college, I thought things would be different, that this was my chance, my way out. And for once, it felt like they were supporting me. Don't worry about money, my dad said. We've been saving for your future. Saving. That word meant everything to me. Because I believed them. I worked part-time anyway. Not because I had to, because I wanted to make things easier. To not be a burden. To prove something. I don't even know what anymore. Every paycheck, I saved. Carefully. Quietly. Trusting that what they promised was real. Meanwhile, Emily's life kept getting bigger. Better, more expensive. Wedding planning started 6 months ago. And it wasn't small. It wasn't simple. It wasn't within budget. It was extravagant. Luxury venue. Designer dress. Custom jewelry. Every detail. Perfect. Too perfect. I remember standing in the living room one day, watching them discuss flowers that cost more than my monthly expenses. And I asked, "Where is all this money coming from?" They exchanged a look, quick, subtle. Then my mom smiled. "We're managing. Managing." Another vague answer. Another red flag I ignored. Because I didn't want to believe it. Didn't want to think they would ever do this. But now, standing there, with zero in my account, and a deadline ticking down, I finally understood something. They didn't suddenly choose her over me. They always had. This was just the first time. The cost was too big to ignore. An hour later, I got an email. Subject line, "You urgent. Tuition payment required." I opened it, and the words on the screen made everything real. Because this wasn't just a mistake anymore, it was a consequence. And I had less than 24 hours to fix something I didn't break. The email didn't look dramatic, no bold red warnings, no flashing alerts, just plain text, cold, final. Your tuition payment is due today. Failure to pay will result in enrollment cancellation. I read it twice, then a third time. Like the words might change, like something would suddenly make sense. But nothing changed, because the truth was simple. I didn't have the money. Not anymore. I checked the time, 10:12 a.m., less than a day. Less than a few hours, really, because processing takes time. Deadlines don't bend, and universities don't care about explanations, especially not mine. I grabbed my bag. Didn't think, didn't plan, I just left. Because sitting there, watching everything fall apart, was worse than facing it. The ride home felt longer than usual, not because of traffic, because my thoughts wouldn't stop. What if I lose my spot? What if I can't come back? What if this delays everything? What if this changes my entire life? By the time I reached home, I wasn't panicking anymore. I was focused, because I needed answers. Real ones, not vague ones, not "we'll figure it out." I walked in, and everything felt the same. Too normal, too calm. My mom was on the couch, scrolling through wedding photos, smiling. Like nothing had happened. Like nothing had been taken. "Where's Dad?" I asked. "In the study," she replied casually. No tension, no urgency, just normal. That made it worse. Way worse. I walked straight to the study, opened the door. He looked up. "What is it?" he asked. Not worried. Not even curious. "My tuition is due today." Silence. Then, "We'll handle it," he said. That line again. That useless line. "How?" I asked. He leaned back in his chair. "We'll figure something out." "No, not this time." "No," I said. "I need a real answer." That caught him off guard, because I didn't usually push like that. Not this directly, not this clearly. "We used the money," he said again. "I know," I replied. "For the wedding," he added. "I know that too." Silence. Then I said it. "I need it back." He frowned. "We don't have it." There it was. Again. The same 3 words. But this time, they didn't just hurt. They closed the door completely. "Then what am I supposed to do?" I asked. He shrugged. "You'll figure it out." That line. The one they used my entire life. The one that sounded like confidence before, now sounded like abandonment. "I can't figure it out in a few hours," I said. "You're smart," he replied. "Take a loan." Loan. Debt. For something I had already paid for. I stared at him, because I couldn't believe how easy it was for him to say that. Like it didn't matter. Like my effort meant nothing. I walked back into the living room. My mom looked up. "What did he say?" "That I should take a loan." She nodded. "That's reasonable." Reasonable. I let out a quiet breath, because something inside me was reaching its limit. "I already had the money," I said. "You had access to it," she corrected. That stopped me, because that one sentence said everything. It was never mine, not really. "You promised that was for my future," I said. "And this is your sister's future," she replied. No hesitation, no regret, just a choice. Clear. Final. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see my mother. I saw someone who made a decision, and stood by it, no matter what it cost me. That's when Emily walked in, laughing, holding her phone. You won't believe the honeymoon package we got." She stopped when she saw my face. "What?" she asked. I didn't answer. I just looked at her. And suddenly, everything made sense. All the years, all the patterns, all the excuses. "You knew?" I asked. She blinked. "Knew what?" "That they used my college fund." Silence. Just for a second. Then, "I mean, yeah," she said. Like it was obvious. Like it wasn't a big deal. My chest tightened. "You're okay with that?" She shrugged. "It's my wedding," she said. That was it. That was the moment. Because nothing after that could ever be the same. "I needed that money," I said. "And I need this wedding," she replied. Needed. That word again. Always used for her. Never for me. "You're not even getting married," she added. And there it was, the line. The one that broke everything. "So what's the big deal?" Silence. Complete. Because I didn't have a response, but because I finally understood something. To them, this really wasn't a big deal. Not my future, not my education, not my life, just money, replaceable, like me. I stepped back, slowly, because staying in that moment felt unbearable. "I'm going to lose my semester," I said quietly. No one responded. Because for them, that wasn't the problem. The problem was that I wasn't cooperating. "You're overreacting," my mom said. That word again, overreacting. I nodded slowly. Because something inside me had gone quiet, not broken, settled. "Okay," I said, "just that, okay." And that confused them. Because I didn't argue, didn't cry, didn't fight. I just turned around and walked to my room, closed the door, and sat on the edge of my bed, the email still open on my phone, the deadline still there, the reality still unchanged. And for the first time, I asked myself something different. Not how to fix it, not how to convince them, not how to survive this moment, but something bigger. What happens if I stop trying? What happens if I stop being the one who adjusts, the one who sacrifices, the one who figures it out? The answer came quietly, but clearly. Everything changes. Ending hook for part 3. That evening, I made a decision, not emotional, not desperate, deliberate, deliberate. Because if they believed I would keep fixing everything, they were about to learn what happens when I don't. The next morning, I didn't rush, I didn't panic, I didn't call anyone. Because deep down, I already knew it was over. Still, I opened my email, hoping, just a little. Maybe there was an extension, maybe there was a mistake, maybe something had changed overnight, but nothing had. The new email was shorter, colder. "Your enrollment has been canceled due to non-payment." That was it. No apology, no flexibility, just a consequence. Final. I stared at the screen for a long time. Because this wasn't just a semester. This was everything I had planned. Every late night, every shift, every sacrifice. Gone. Not because I failed, because someone else decided it didn't matter. My chest tightened. And for the first time, I felt it. Not anger, not frustration. Grief. Real grief. Because something had been taken from me that I couldn't just rebuild overnight. I didn't cry right away. I just sat there, still, trying to understand how my life had changed in less than 24 hours. A knock on my door broke the silence. My mom. "Are you up?" she asked. I didn't respond. She opened the door anyway. "We need to finalize a few things for the wedding," she said. Like nothing had happened. Like my life hadn't just been paused. "I lost my enrollment," I said quietly. She paused. Just for a second. Then, "We'll deal with that later." Later. That word again. Always later for me. Always now for her. "I'm not in college anymore," I said. Trying to make it real. Trying to make her understand. "You can reapply," she replied. Just like that. Like it was simple. Like it didn't cost time, money, effort. Like it didn't matter. I looked at her, really looked at her, and something inside me went completely quiet. Because I finally understood something. She wasn't going to understand. Not now, not later, not ever. "Can you at least help with the decorations today?" she added. That question felt unreal. Like we were living in two completely different realities. "I lost my future yesterday," I said. And you're asking me about decorations, she sighed. You're being dramatic. There it was, the final dismissal, the final confirmation. I didn't argue, I didn't explain, I just nodded. Okay, I said, because something inside me had already decided. I just hadn't acted on it yet. The wedding day came faster than I expected. Too fast. Like the universe didn't even give me time to process what had happened. The venue was beautiful. Of course it was. It had to be. They paid for it with my future. White flowers everywhere, soft lights, perfect setup. Everything looked exactly how Emily wanted it. Perfect. I stood near the entrance, not part of anything, not helping, not included, just there, like a guest. No, not even that. Guests were welcomed. I was tolerated. People smiled at my parents. You've done such an amazing job. Both your daughters are so lucky. Both daughters, I almost laughed. Because standing there, I felt invisible. Like I didn't exist in their version of the story. Like I wasn't the one who paid for all of this. Emily walked past me in her dress. Perfect. Glowing. Happy. She didn't even look at me. Not once. Like I wasn't part of her day. Like I wasn't part of anything. And maybe I wasn't anymore. The ceremony started. Everyone sat down. I stayed in the back, watching, listening, trying not to think about what this day had cost me. The vows, the smiles, the applause. All of it felt distant. Like I was watching someone else's life, not mine, not anymore. At one point, my mom came over. "Why are you standing here?" she whispered. "I'm fine," I said. "You should smile more," she added. Smile. That word almost broke me, because she wanted me to look happy in the middle of everything I had lost. "I'm not smiling today," I said quietly. She frowned. "Don't ruin this," she said. "Don't ruin this." I nodded slowly, because that was it. That was the final piece. My pain was an inconvenience to them, nothing more. The reception started. Music, laughter, celebration, everyone enjoying a moment that I paid for, without a choice, without acknowledgement, without even a thank you. I stood there for a while, long enough to understand something clearly. If I stayed, nothing would change. They would continue. The same patterns, the same expectations, and I would keep losing, piece by piece, until there was nothing left of me. That thought made everything simple. I walked out, quietly, no announcement, no goodbye, just left, because I didn't belong there, not anymore. That night I sat in my room, the house still loud from the after party. But inside, it was silent, completely silent. And for the first time, I didn't feel confused. I didn't feel lost. I didn't feel angry. I felt clear, because I finally understood something. They weren't going to change, so I had to. The next morning, I packed a bag. Not everything, just what mattered. Because this time, I wasn't staying to fix anything. I was leaving to finally build something of my own. The next morning, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Like nothing had happened. Like yesterday didn't exist. Like my future hadn't been taken and turned into a celebration. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the same walls I had grown up with. And for the first time, they didn't feel familiar. They felt temporary. Like a place I had already outgrown but stayed in anyway. I opened my closet, pulled out a bag. Not everything, just what mattered. Clothes, documents, my laptop, the essentials. Because I wasn't running away, I was walking out. There's a difference. I moved quietly, not because I was afraid, because I didn't want a conversation. Not this time, no explanations, no arguments. No, we'll talk later. I was done talking. As I stepped into the hallway, I paused for a second, listening. Nothing. They were still asleep. Or pretending to be. Either way, it didn't matter. I walked to the front door, hand on the handle, and for a moment I felt it. That pull. That familiar hesitation. The voice that says, maybe you should stay, maybe you're overreacting, maybe this can still be fixed. But another voice answered, clear, firm, you already stayed too long. So I opened the door and left. No drama, no goodbye, just silence. The first few days were the hardest. Not because I missed them, but because everything was uncertain. I stayed in a small rented room, barely furnished, just a bed, a table, a chair, no comfort. But also, no pressure, no expectations, no one asking me to give more than I had. And that alone felt like freedom. I found work quickly, not one job, two, then three, morning shift, evening shift, sometimes night. It wasn't easy, it wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Every dollar I earned stayed with me, every decision I made was mine. And for the first time, I wasn't surviving for someone else. I was building something for myself. Slowly, quietly, one step at a time. At night, I studied, not because I had to, because I refused to lose everything I worked for. I applied again. Different colleges, different programs, different path. Because if one door closed, I wasn't going to stand there waiting. I was going to find another one. Weeks turned into months, months turned into years. And somewhere along the way, things started changing. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but steadily. I got better jobs, better opportunities, better control over my life. I learned things no one ever taught me. How to manage money, how to protect myself, how to say no. That last one changed everything, because no was something I was never allowed to say before, not to them, not to anyone. But now, it became my boundary, my protection, my power. I finished my degree, not the way I planned, not the timeline I wanted, but I did it on my own. No help, no support, no safety net, just me. And that made it worth more than anything they could have given me. I built a career after that, stable, growing, not overnight success, but real progress, the kind that stays, the kind no one can take from you. And slowly, my life became something I recognized again, something I was proud of, not because it was perfect, but because it was mine. Years passed, 5, maybe 6. I stopped counting, because I wasn't waiting for anything anymore. I wasn't looking back. Until one day, they came back into my life, not gradually, not carefully, suddenly, like they always did. My phone rang, unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. Hello? Silence. Then, it's Mom. That voice. Familiar, but distant, like hearing something from another life. I didn't respond right away, because I didn't know what to say. Not anymore. We need to talk, she said. Of course. Now they did. What about? I asked. A pause, longer than before. Then, we're going through some difficulties. Difficulties. That word. I almost smiled, because I had heard it before, just never from this side. What kind of difficulties? I asked. Another pause. Then she said it. Financial. Of course it was. And suddenly, everything made sense. The call, the tone, the timing. They didn't call because they missed me. They called because they needed something. Again. They said you're doing well, she added. They. So they were talking about me. Even after everything. Interesting. I am, I said. Simple. Calm. Not emotional. Not defensive. Just true. We always knew you would, she replied quickly. That line felt different now. Because it wasn't encouragement, it was positioning. Preparing the ground for what was coming next. And I already knew. Before she even said it. We need your help. There it was, full circle. The same people who told me to figure it out were now asking me to fix their situation. Again, I stayed quiet for a moment, then asked one question. Calm, clear. Where was this concern when I needed you? Silence. And just like that, the power had completely shifted.